Hey everyone, Throne and Liberty is currently in early access, and considering how well this ran in the open beta, I'm very pleased to announce that it's working perfectly well from the full release as well. First off, we do need to dial down quite a lot of the settings, and obviously the view distance isn't as great as we would like it to be, but even with lots of enemies around and farming, we are getting over 40 frames per second for the most part. The intro sections are definitely a bit misleading. In the early sections you get a solid 60 frames per second, but it does dip down into the 40s during the first boss fight, which is where we get a taste of the real performance. Settings for this one, you need a few little tweaks. So one is on the gameplay UI. This will default to tier 3, so you want to put this to tier 7 at least. Usually 8 is best for the smaller screen. You're going to keep the frame rate limit at 60, or if you want to cap it at 30 for that super stable rate, then you can, and up these settings just a little bit more. But otherwise, I found that having these with the Intel XeSS set to high quality is the best middle ground, otherwise it gets really blurry really quickly. Anti-aliasing on high, then most of the other stuff on low, apart from post-processing and character quality and shadow quality all on medium, as well as lighting quality. Otherwise it looks really weird, and you'll notice a huge difference, especially if you turn that post-processing to low. The game just looks completely different. So keeping a good 40 to 50 frames per second for the most part is definitely our main aim here, and is well worth it with these settings. Now, for some reason the frame cap doesn't work when I'm using the HDMI capture card, but I will recommend that you cap this at 45 frames per second on the OLED and 40 frames per second on the LCD. Unless you want to push for that 30 all the way through. If you do like those few extra frames, then it is good to have that frame cap, but this game will benefit perfectly well to capping in game at 30, and then you can push up the character detail and level of detail to high as well. And just one other tip on this is you do want to go into the gameplay menu and move the ambient threshold down to 50%, otherwise you will go through your leaves very quickly. Make sure that they only start healing you at 50% or less, otherwise it's at 95% default for some random reason, and you will get healed even if you get hit very slightly. Now, as you'd expect in towns, and I'm very impressed with the teleporting abilities. Look how instant that was. That's no editing, it really is that quick even on the Steam Deck. In towns, performance does tank heavily with the Steam Deck, but it is more than playable. It does dip under that 30 frames per second every now and then, especially in the heavy areas where everybody portals in, and also around the skill build areas where there are tons of players. Now, I've got the amount of characters on screen to low to medium, so this is kind of expected, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't grind to a complete halt, and we do get some of that fuzziness here as well, but overall, it's performing fantastically well, and you're not going to have any issues, as the most part you are out in the world where people are much more spread out. But expect that performance to tank in guild battles and also the town areas until you get the balance right for the amount of characters on your screen. Overall, they're performing exceptionally well, and I'll definitely be spending a lot more time in this one. Let us know in the comments below if you're diving into Throne and Liberty, or whether you're going to be checking out another game releasing this week. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.